And I'm back. I apologize for missing a Tuesday, not being able to post earlier today. Had an issue with my computer, with it overheating. I had a computer tech look at it, told me they could fix it. I might still have the problem. They just told me it was more cost efficient to probably just buy another one. Did, and I put that on rush delivery. Got it today and uploading a bunch of programs that I need to be able to make the videos into the new computer. Hopefully I won't have any issues with this new one, so I appreciate your patience with me. Highs today, new highs. And let me just flip to the close here. We had the Dow up 507 points. We had the S&P up 49 points. Up 0.78%. NASDAQ up 127 points, up 0.61%. The Russell up 1.5%. The VIX was down to close at 15.37. It was down 6.85%. We had Apple and Tesla earnings. Apple beat. Pardon me. I'm tired. I've been installing stuff. Alphabet. Tesla. Alphabet beat. Tesla had a drop in revenue. Down in after hours. Alphabet was up. I'm going to visit the Federal Reserve. We got the Fed next week. We got Trump's tariffs next week. We got this divergence going on. I told you about this doji, or not this doji, the gravestone doji. I stand corrected there. We came down. We got a doji yesterday, and we hit the trend line from this low right here. You're going to have to forgive me. I got to get my pen fixed here. Having an issue with my pen, so I'm having to use that. I told you, again, we're back testing this trend line. We got this topping tail. That's now negated. The topping tail is negated, and we have this this rally here. Again, I told you we might try to make it all the way up here. The Dow is about to move to a new high, and we could see a peak tomorrow or Friday. We could see a peak here this week. The Dow about to move up above this level right here. I'm not going to try to draw my line. It'll be crooked. The Dow's forming a divergence with this previous peak, likely going to push up here. And again, the transports is not making new highs. The Dow finally is, or is about to here. We're just slightly under this level. I think this is 45,074 or 76 or something like that. We're at the high was 45,016. And we closed just under that at 45,010. So we're just a fraction here under this level here. Probably going to close at a new high. And if you do that, you'll have a Dow theory sell signal if the transports refuse to confirm. Transports here nowhere near the high. And I've shown you the weekly chart on this. So again, and even in the more recent price action, we could get a divergence where the Dow moves to a new high and the transports does not. So certainly something we're paying attention to. Sometimes they diverge at turning points. Again, I only expect a pullback, not a reversal. Got people that were telling us that we were going to crash at the bottom. Now we're making new highs and not have the rally that we had here on the S&P back when I called the bottom back over here on the 7th. This hollow red candlestick at major support. We had people telling us we're going to crash and this rally was never going to happen. And again, they've been telling us that all the way up. And I continue to point out my signals continue to be bullish, but I expect that this divergence here is going to complete and produce a turn here very soon. We could see a peak this week. Maybe tomorrow or Friday. Next week, we have the Fed. Let's say this, if Powell ends up resigning, if he doesn't want the headache, that might create uncertainty in the market. There's been rumors that Trump's going to try to fire him. And again, all that is rumors, and the legal experts are battling over that. Some say, Trump can't fire Powell. Others say, oh, yes, he can. And leave that one for the legal experts. I'm not going to go there. That could add to some volatility. This is what I think is going to happen. I think we're going to sell off. We're going to get a wave 4 moving back towards the 200, towards the cloud, maybe towards this blue trend line right here. For some of these gaps, we have a gap down here. We have a gap, couple of gaps down over in here to be watching. Couple of gaps here and here. S&P 500. So we'll be watching again. I think we're going to get a sell off a little bit, and then I think we're going to go finish the blow off top. Again, people that told us we were never going to have this rally happen, I'm telling you, I'm looking for a top, but I have not called one yet, and I very well could do it here in the next day or two. The same people to straighten me out and tell me, "Oh no, no, no! Now we're going to crash," and they're doing exactly what I told you they're going to do. I told you they go this double top or this triple top and all the rest of it. I told you down here the tariffs before we get the week of the tariffs right there when Kramer was telling us we were going to have the crash. I told you going into this fall right here, I told you on that Friday right there when Kramer was calling for a Black Monday crash, and you know the bears were telling us we were about to have this massive crash. I told you we were going to bottom the next week, and the tariffs would produce a bottom. Two, right, I was right, and called the day of the bottom when it happened because we hit key support there. With that hollow red candlestick that you see right there, and predicted this rally to new all-time highs. I was right because I believe this move was corrective, and we're now going to get the wave 5, which I think is likely unfolding here with 1, 2. I think this is now completing 3. I think we're going to get 4, and then I think we're going to get one more push higher for 5, and I think that's likely going to come a little bit later in the year, maybe September or October. That's what it's certainly looking like. To me, but we'll see what happens with this next pullback. So again, I'm looking for a top. I don't believe the top is in here or about to be put in. I think we'll pull back and then we'll go higher. The bears telling us that now we're going to crash again. And let me just say again, just as the tariffs I told you would mark a bottom here, to the tariffs right now are going to be associated, be August 1st tariffs. The market's just shrugging it off. Oh, Trump's a taco. He's going to chicken out. I've got a couple of deals. He announced a couple of deals. What was it? The Philippines, Indonesia, and Japan. And the market rallied today with the Japan deal and negated the topping tail. You got these people get back over here. All the tariffs, they're running around with their hair on fire, and we were about to crash. And over here saying, "Oh, we're not going to crash. Trump's a taco." And again, we're going to turn down. Likely surrounding next week with the Fed, or as we move into earnings season here and we get Trump's tariffs. And again, these people are underestimating Trump. They don't understand him. Either we're going to get the deals or we're going to get the tariffs, one or the other. Now, the deal with Japan, the States doesn't have any tariffs. Have a big investment, what was it, $500 billion, or $550 billion, something like that. And Japan's tariffs are reduced down to 15%, but we still have tariffs. They're taking in tariff revenue. Eventually, we're going to see the inflation rise higher, and the tariffs are going to be blamed for that, which tariffs don't cause inflation, but they'll be blamed for it. I think you're going to see some of these countries just have a rate assigned to them. There's a lot of countries, but we're now seeing some of the bigger countries hammering out deals here with the U.S. ahead of the official launch of the new tariff rates on August 1st. So again, that's likely going to be part of the catalyst for the sell-off, if not the entire thing. Just as I told you, the tariffs launch over here would mark a bottom. The tariff launch over here is going to be associated with a top. Could see the top sooner rather than later this week, surrounding the Fed. But again, I talked about possibly reaching this upper boundary of the rising wedge. We don't have to, but we could. Divergence is present here, and it may be done or about to finish. Warning you about these divergences, and I said may not be done yet. It looks like the 60-minute chart could be wrapping it up. We may see the MACD turn back up, but we may not. Turns back up, we might reach this upper boundary right here of the rising wedge, but this is likely going to give us a sell-off, and then again one more push higher. I've talked about these divergences, and again told you they may not be done, they may not be done, they may not be done over and over. Signals are still bullish. We had this divergence, but it only gave us a sideways correction. We're pushing higher, and again bouncing off our 50-period moving average, bouncing off the 10 in the daily time frame. So again, I think it's about to wrap up here, but we could still move to new highs. We are. Wouldn't be surprised to see a peak this week on Thursday or Friday, or at some point next week. And then I think we'll get a pullback surrounding the tariffs. And again, the market is shrugging off that tariffs are going to launch. Trump's just going to pause it. And again, That's likely not going to happen. They're underestimating him. It's because they don't understand him. So I think the market's going to get a reality check. So as the tariffs, the launch of the tariffs marked the bottom with the pause that I predicted would happen. So too, I think that the August 1st tariff launch date, I think it's going to be associated with the peak here in a corrective move. I think it'll be a correction and not the top. A multiple point diversion still here on the RSI and the MACD here in the 60-minute time frame. Could see this play out this week. Once I think this is done, and it could finish tomorrow or Friday or early next week ahead of the Fed, could be tomorrow, could be Friday. Once this is done, once I think this is done, I'm going to turn bearish short term. And NASDAQ 100 is not moving to a new high. They're diverging. So again, we could see a top with the S&P moving to a new high and NASDAQ 100 not. Remember, I told you it plays out that way sometimes where they diverge at turning points. Right now, we've had NASDAQ peak. I've got a question mark there. We've rallied up here today, but we're getting a lower high at the moment. NASDAQ 100 was up 0.43%. It was up almost 100 points, like 98 or so, 99 points. Again, we're trying to breach this trend line. We kind of closed right around that area, right at our 10-period moving average. So we still might try to make a new high. But if we don't, again, we might have a divergence between the two. So just something worth paying attention to. I think we'll get a pullback to the cloud, back to these 200-period moving averages, and then I think we'll get a final push higher. So again, I do believe that this is coming to a conclusion, and maybe we peaked with our recent minor high if we are diverging with the S&P. Futures is rallying in after hours. We'll see what that does to the NASDAQ cash index. Futures is a little bit different because the contracts constantly roll over. So we'll see, can the cash index make a new high or not? You know, we're at extreme greed, but we're diverging with the S&P 500. We're getting a lower high. Warned you about that possibility of a divergence developing, the S&P moving to a new high, the greed index making a lower high. S&P moves to a new high. We've seen the VIX drop back down to this trend line right here. We're below the band. The tightening of the band is going on. Still may even try to blow through this trend line and go a little bit lower here if we include the shadow right here. I've excluded it ever so slightly and tagged it to this level. But if we include this shadow, you could go a little bit lower or even blow through the trend line. If S&P tries to reach the upper boundary of the rising wedge, there's no guarantee we're going to, but we certainly can, as I've talked about. To get back above the 50 period for volatility, 50 period here on the VIX for volatility to return on the S&P 500. Divergence is developing. MACD's got to go positive. Stochastic's got to turn back up if we're going to see volatility return. So we'll be watching the VIX closely. My signals are still bullish. Divergences begin to play out. We'll see momentum turn, and then we'll see the trend signals turn. So I'll have confirmation of when the peak is in if the signals turn bearish and then remain that way, which is probably going to be the case. We've got a green bar on the oscillator. I told you we could see multiple point divergences. We can reach the upper boundary of the rising wedge if we take this into the Fed meeting just before the launch of the August 1st tariff date there. We could peak. In all likelihood, we're likely going to peak before that August 1st date, possibly this week. Next week, again, my signals continue to be bullish. I told you, looking for a peak, but I have not called one. My signals are still bullish. Momentum is still bullish. You can see that here at the green bars, or the blue bars and the green cloud, forming these divergences. And at some point, you'll see a peak and a pullback, likely towards the 200, just above it, at it, or just below it. And again, maybe at these gaps I've talked about. I think that'll probably be wave 4. NASDAQ got a red bar yesterday, green back to green, again forming that divergence. We didn't move to a new high today. The S&P did. You can still see the Dow make a new all-time high Thursday or Friday. We'll be watching for that to happen. NVIDIA closely. NVIDIA reached an extreme here at the RSI. Again, we turned down off this trend line right here. Slightly above that is the trend line in the long-term weekly time frame. Watching to see if we had a peak here, and we now get a more high, or try to overthrow the trend line a little bit and get a divergence. But again, I told you I think that we are peaking here and going to get this pullback for wave 4. Well, NVIDIA has already peaked, having risen over 100% since I called the day of the bottom. Remember, we had the 9 count on NVIDIA, and I talked about it being at support and predicting a bottom with NVIDIA along with the S&P and NASDAQ, surrounding the launch of the tariffs. NVIDIA will pull back, and then it'll go one final high. I think we have this broadening formation on NVIDIA, and it's going into major resistance in the weekly time frame, as I've talked about. Had the price oscillator complete the divergence. MACD moved to a new high, but the price oscillator and other oscillators did not. Stochastics breaking 80. So again, going to be watching, does this divergence on the price oscillator and the extreme on the RSI give us a peak here? Pretty good chance we got one in here at this trend line of resistance, forming this massive broadening formation, which is a 5-point reversal pattern. We're up 2.25% on NVIDIA for the session.